My name is Optimus Prime, and you are listening to The Week in Geek. Autobots, transform and roll out!
Captain's Log Supplemental, The Week in Geek, Extended Edition. It's your host, Steve Squared, along with
Brian Held.
All right, Brian, let's continue the show. It's the show after show party. Woo!
Yes. And, of course, we're continuing our conversation with Mr. Valek Sykes, owner of TechWorks FX Studios. Sir, how are you?
Hello there. Good.
Is his mic on?
It is now.
Oh,
It is. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. It's on now.
No, that's cool. So, we were talking about all kind of stuff. We were kind of really getting into some things, but on our little break after the show, I think it's really important we talk about this out of the gate. There was a recent event within our community here, and even though we're trying to have a broad global reach to our content, I think it's important is that the Times-Picayune, the local newspaper, was bought out by a rival newspaper here, The Advocate. Yep. And the reason that's important is because we have noticed The Advocate puts out a lot of negative commentary in regards to the film industry here in Louisiana.
Yeah, they do, don't they? They love that editorial crap where they go, we shouldn't have the movie industry here, blah, blah, blah. It costs us all this money, and I just want to strangle that guy or at least write my own article about it. But, it's you're not going to get tax money from people that don't come here. So even if you give them a break, tax breaks for the film industry, which, is a great idea. Hell, I would give tax breaks to everybody that ever wants to come to this town. I mean, we have a huge entertainment, industry here, but the entire state almost depends on it. And as far as these roads go, it ain't cutting it. So, we don't pay cops much, we don't pay teachers much. We need some revenue. So, film industry has no problem coming here to spend money if you give them a little tax break. And these people that complain about it, it drives me nuts because you're not going to get any revenue from them if they're not here.
Yeah.
So it makes, if the porn industry wants to come here, let them come here. Whatever. Bring it on,
Right. Well, and I think it's interesting that a lot of times when you read these articles, and I've noticed it myself, is that they don't talk about all the peripheral spending that happens because people move here, they buy houses, they go out to eat, all this kind of stuff, and all that spending's happening because of the movies being done here.
Yeah. I mean, every dime we get, if we get $100,000 to do something, it is all spent here, every dime. Other than maybe I don't know, a few bucks here and there on Amazon. But, literally everybody we pay lives and works here. Everybody that lives and works here spends all their money here. I mean, it's that simple. Money that comes in, all this money is coming from out of state. Yeah. It's not being generated here in Louisiana. It's coming from out of state. So it's basically people bringing money here to work here and to use this beautiful place as their backdrop for their films, and that's great. So bring it on, bring more.
Well, and we lost a lot of opportunity when they did screw up the taxes for a while. We did. Atlanta snapped all that up.
Oh yeah, I mean they're bringing in money, hand over fist over there, and you don't hear anybody complaining about we're spending all this money on tax, whatever. You can't spend money if you don't bring in the money. In other words. It's not your money to spend. It's just we're not collecting as much taxes from these people. That's all it really is. So the idea that we're losing money is ridiculous. Yeah. We are gaining money.
In typical Louisiana fashion, somebody wasn't getting paid. So that's what it boils down to.
I kind of wanted to put
a kickback.
Yeah, I wanted to put an article out. Just say, look, you need to be more blatant with these people. Just tell them what you want. How much is it going to cost for you guys to be happy about them coming here.
We were supposed to have Disney World here.
Yes.
We were supposed to have Disney World here.
Yeah, they screwed that up.
Right, because they didn't feel they were going to be making enough money. No, not enough palms got greased.
Yep.
I mean, but and like Airline Highway, that whole area where the Shrine on Airline and all is now, that whole area would have been Disney World.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of that, dude. I mean, so oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be unreal.
No, it would be. So, another thing that you were talking about after the main show was your school. You've got some stuff going on with your school?
I do. We're doing a class on the 28th, actually. It's a 4-week class that we teach. Basically, it's like a boot camp for getting into the industry doing what we do. In other words, I hire people, so I know what it takes to hire, to bring people in
Yeah.
and get them started in the industry. Nobody did that for me, so I had to work really hard to get in the industry. So I do a school. It's 4 weeks long, and it basically covers a lot of the things that I need as a shop owner for my people to learn and do. So it's a skill thing. It's not really talent. We don't worry about if you have talent or not yet. We basically I can teach these skills to you. I could teach them to my mother. I could teach them to anybody. But it's basically the kind of stuff we do every day at the shop. And every shop needs these people. So the more we can, train some good people to get in there, the better industry we have, the stronger it is here.
Right.
So it's important for us to make sure that we get some, well-trained, new blood that wants to come in. If they've got a passion for it, we would all benefit from it. So we want to grow this place like everybody does. You know?
And so, I mean, are you talking about sculpting, casting, animatronics?
No, it's not all that. I mean, it's only 4 weeks long, so basically it's very material heavy. So we deal with a lot of things like resins and silicones and plasters and things like that. It's makeup based, but we do a lot of stuff that could translate over into everything from props to costumes to makeup in general. But it's basically just enough to get you started and get you paid to do what we do. You'll learn how to do fiberglass, you'll learn how to make molds and things like that, casting up parts, things that we do every day for films. That way you can start moving forward in your career if this is something that you want to do.
Now, are you looking to hire people out of this class?
We do sometimes, not all the time, but it depends on the movies that we've got coming up. If we need people, we generally grab them from the class. Unless we need something specific, then we might have to bring somebody in that's a heavy hitter for that specific thing. If we need a sculptor, we're going to probably bring in a sculptor because I don't know you yet, and it doesn't work like that.
Right.
We want to make sure that we can know you, trust you, know that you're going to show up and that kind of stuff. But this school really helps push people and get their foot in the door.
Yeah. No.
What kind of age are we talking about?
Pretty much, we generally hope that they're 18 and above, but we've had people, a little younger, as long as their parents are cool with it. And we've also had, much older. My oldest student was probably in his 50s.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up doing really well in Arizona.
Okay.
He went back home to Arizona, and we've had people from all over the world, Russia, Spain, China. We bring, if they want to come, we invite them over.
No, I was just throwing out there like summer camp stuff because it's getting close to summer.
Yeah, right.
I got a 13-year-old who I want to get his ass out the house and off the Xbox and get him doing something. Maybe learning a practical skill would behoove him.
It's not a bad idea, and we've been mulling it over because honestly,
right, cool.
it is hard. But this is basically for people that really want to get in the industry.
Okay.
So it's more of a stepping stone to help them. And then once you know me, I am plugged in. I know a lot of people in the industry, especially in Los Angeles. We're there for about 20 years, so I know a lot of shop owners. So we try to really get them some skills, and then kind of push them to really get in there and get working.
I could just see all these kids in there. They'd just be watching YouTube videos, huh? Yeah, oh, that's great. Hey, look, I found this YouTube video. This guy does it so much better than you. Like,
yeah, that would be great. I would love that.
Die!
No, it's that's why I call it kind of a boot camp. Being out of the Marine Corps, I do tend to yell a bit. Maybe I might even curse once in a while. But, the idea is that our industry is tough. It's extremely tough. It's hard to get in. So I try and give them any way I can to help them get in. But at the same time, you have to have some serious drive to deal with the crazy that we deal with every day.
What kind of crazy?
Let's see. Well, that's a good one. We deal with a lot of producers, a lot of directors. We deal with prop masters. We deal with, all kinds of crazy people in our industry because we're all a little slightly insane, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love, obviously. We don't like to just sit still too long. But, yeah, we have I've got some stories I could tell you.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the craziest parts to me is it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty, right?
Yes.
Like I have a day gig. I go to work, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type deal, so there's a lot of stability there with that. But with the industry, there's not that stability. You work on a job, and then when you're done, you're fired, and you got to go find another job. And right?
Pretty much. I mean, we don't call it fired necessarily. I mean, I've fired many people, but
you've completed the task at hand.
Exactly.
Hey, everybody! David DeCorbier, he's rapping today. Everybody clap.
It's a little bit like that. You know, it's like, look, I'm bringing you on for this project, and if we have another project, that's my one way I can say, well, we can either get rid of you or we can keep you if we have another project coming on. Just depends on what's going on and what your skill set is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you work project to project. Sometimes you go shop to shop, and honestly, that's not a bad way to go. And you may have a couple months off, but you look at it. Hey, I've got a couple months off. Sometimes it's great. You get used to it. My mother-in-law still has no concept of how that works.
Right.
She still thinks I don't necessarily have a real job after 20-something years of this, but
you're still playing with the makeup and collecting the welfare. Get off the government cheese.
Kind of feels like that.
Get a real job.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, but I'm guessing that you have to exercise a lot of willpower, right, to like save your money for those lean times, right?
Yes, you do. I mean, our income goes up and down, and when you're busy, you don't have time to spend it, and when you aren't busy, you kind of don't want to spend it,
Right.
But I mean, I've been doing this so long that I kind of ignore the normal signs of that anymore and just live normal life as much as possible.
Okay.
And it works out.
All right, cool. What is this note that Paul has written to you?
He wrote 2 words on there. It just says Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah. So, okay. He wants me to tell the Tom Cruise story.
Shoot.
Did you do the yell?
Yeah. All right. So we're working. I can name drop all day long.
Okay.
Just so you know, I've worked with tons of people that everybody's heard of. You know, Spielberg and all that kind of stuff. I've got a good Spielberg story too, which I've never divulged publicly, so I can give you that one. But the Tom Cruise one was just that if you've seen Minority Report, there's a scene where his eyes get plucked out by a machine, and and he's got to get new eyes put in, blah blah blah.
Right.
So I built that machine that plucks his eyes out. Me and another guy when I was working for another company back in the day. No longer exists anymore, but so we build that machine, and what happens is I go to meet Tom Cruise for the first time, and I'm in a room, freezing cold, it's kind of chilly in there.
Yeah,
I'm in a room in an apartment building inside a soundstage. They built an entire apartment building inside a soundstage, which was awesome.
Yeah,
biggest set I've ever seen like that, most complex. So anyway. We get there, and I'm waiting, and Tom Cruise comes in, and he's on the phone, and he's got a little guy shadowing him, his PA, I guess,
Yeah.
And as he says goodbye, he just drops. It's an old flip phone back in the day, okay?
Yeah.
So he basically just drops the phone in midair from his ear, and the other guy who's following around scoops it up in midair, folds it up, puts it in his pocket, and I just have my mouth open, and he goes, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Tom Cruise." I go, I know. Wow, that's good. Let's get this done. Let's do this. So I have to measure his head, to make this prop, and so it's awesome. I'm like, wow, this is great. And I talked to one of my friends who worked with him on Interview with a Vampire, and he goes, yeah, that guy's nuts. I go, no, man, I just met him. He's awesome. And he goes, yeah, whatever, man. So I go, okay, whatever. So a month or so later, I'm on set, and I go, okay, Tom, he sits down in this chair, and now the scene is, though, he's going to have his eyes like opened by these little things that we called him Dr. Shaky. This guy was terrified to touch Tom Cruise, and he had to put these things in his eyes to open his eyes up and keep them wide open with drops and the whole deal, and it's kind of freaky. So anyway, I go, okay, Tom, well, we're going to put this on your head, and we're going to just move around, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to get into the craziness of it, but let's just say Tom Cruise did not like having that thing put on his head at that moment. Okay. And he let me know it by almost breaking it, freaking out, cursing. I'm not going to say that he threatened to bury me in a foundation of DreamWorks building, but maybe that came out somewhere. But you got to understand, the scene is we're in a room that's smaller than this place right now. It seemed anyway.
Yeah.
There's cameras everywhere, so I can't literally move. I can back out maybe 2 feet, but I've got Tom in front of me on a table. I've got Steven right next to me, Spielberg.
Yeah.
He goes by Steven.
Okay.
I'm in awe of the awesome talent that's around me, and I'm handling this awesome prop to this actor, and so I can't move, and it turns into this circus instantly. As soon as I put it on his head, He freaks out. Are these effing lasers? I go, no, Tom, they're not lasers. I swear to God, these are effing lasers. I'm gonna die. And he starts freaking out, and he's trying to break it sort of by pulling it off his head, and he's kind of squeezing it. And I'm gonna effing smash this on the floor, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa. And Steven's like, what's going on? I'm like, Steven, you got to give me a second. Tom, just let me put it on your head. Steven, give me I just need a minute, okay? Tom, just sit down. Let me get on your head. If I can't get on your head, I can't do the thing. Steven, if you don't let me, can you tell him to not? And I'm going back and forth for 5 minutes. There's people literally running right now, and I'm soaked. I'm sweating, and I'm losing my mind. And it's running through my head that I'm getting fired at any given moment.
Right.
And I'm freaking out, and one guy's threatening me, and the other guy who's like the biggest, director of the planet is kind of yelling at me, and I'm like, you know what? I put my hands up. I go, you know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna be over here. You guys can deal with this, and I'll walk out. So I walked out, and then 2 minutes later, lady comes in and like, Mr. Spielberg would like to see you right now. We're ready. And I go, okay. I put it on Tom's head. We do it in one take. Tom didn't say a word, didn't even look at me in the eyes, which is fine, And Steven just, he goes, and cut. Check the gate, which means that's great. We're ready to go. And he leans over and he shakes my hand. And he goes, thank you so much. I was like, I could use that like every once in a while because I lost 5 pounds just in that conversation, But it was that was an entertaining day.
Yeah. Did Tom try to convert you to Scientology?
No, but I'm trying to think if I was on another movie, but there is a thing where he did for a while. Like you would go on set, and these are huge sets, and lots of money. And there'd be like a little coffee kiosk, and it would say courtesy of Tom Cruise, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. This guy's awesome. So you get your coffee, whatever. And then over there, like, oh, it's a massage tent. Wow, that's really cool for the crew. That's really nice. Courtesy of Tom Cruise. And you go in there and they're like, tell me about your life. And you're like, what? And like, have you ever been checked for your metacalorian count or whatever the hell that was? And I'm like, what? And it's literally they're trying to suck your soul out and convert you to Scientology in that tent. So Sony got wind of it and goes, get that the hell out of here. You're freaking everybody out. So they did. They got rid of that. And, maybe a year later, I run into a buddy of mine. He goes, hey, I'm working on this new movie. Tom Cruise is in it. It's a samurai movie. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. He's crazy, right? And they go, what? He goes, no, I just met him. He seemed like the nicest guy. I'm like, yeah, you wait. And literally not lying, I talked to him maybe a year later. I go, so how'd that go? And he goes, well, I go, what happened? He goes, well, he jumped up on the table and he goes, what the F is wrong with you? After they built an animatronic horse and it stuntman hit it. I don't know, something happened, but he blamed those guys again,
Right.
And it's like we have targets on our back, I guess, in that world. But it was just kind of comical. But it just was like this goofy story that got passed along, and as you experience, you have to tell the next guy, yeah, he's not all there, man. I'm just saying. And they're like, no, I just met him. He's great.
Well, I mean, everybody saw him jump on Oprah's couch. Like the world understands this now. But
yeah, at the time, people were like, what? No. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all his movies. Okay. I think they're awesome. He's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. And he may have been having a bad day. I don't know. Yeah. But it was kind of like, let's take it out on Val Day, And I was like, and I mean, we weren't trying to hurt him. We were just trying to put this cool prop on his head, and he freaked the hell out. And it was just, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want those shaky hands putting things in my eyes either. So whatever.
No, that's cool.
It was entertaining.
You mentioned Steven Spielberg, and if I'm not mistaken, you're planning to write a book about this, huh? Well,
now I started a book a while back, and it was, it's like I call it like a toilet book, It's like the strangest, goofy crap that happens to me while I was doing movies, all this, I've been doing all this stuff. And crazy things happen to me in life. I've fallen off cliffs. I've done crazy things. For some reason, strange crap seems to happen to me. So it's all good. But yeah, there was one story that I will tell you if you want to hear it. It's about Mr. Spielberg.
Okay.
But now, we're working on a different movie. Working on AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah. Jude Law, who is awesome, introduced him to my wife, and she made a really great sound out of her mouth when she turned around to see Jude Law in person, which was like, and he's so perfect and like awesome. He's like, oh, pleasure to meet you, And he shook her hand, and she's like, oh. I think she wanted to lick his face, Yeah. It was a little embarrassing. I'm like, thanks a lot, hon. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. But, he was pretty handsome guy, so I can't blame her.
Bring your spouse to work day is now canceled.
Yeah, kind of felt weird. But yeah, so we're doing AI, and I made all these animatronic Haley Joel Osment heads that I had to roll at Jude Law's feet, and I worked on all these these android or I'm sorry, these mecha we called them at the time. They're robot humanoid type things, and I'm actually in the movie briefly somewhere. I'm a bull, they call it, which is a guard at one point, because they'd asked about doing something, and I said, hey, we could do it this way, and they go, okay, you're in it. That's what Spielberg said. He goes, you're in it. So they made us go to wardrobe. But anyway, so there's a lot of these robots, which are all puppets. And I'm working for Stan Winston, who was, my boss at the time, and he's awesome. And anyway, so what happened was lunchtime, right before lunch, he goes, move all these around.
Okay.
So, of course, Mr. Spielberg, it's not exactly how it went down, but yeah, that's what the word was. We had to move these around. So me and Sebastian, another guy, we're running to go get these androids moved around, basically. They're all puppet cabled and stuff like that, so they're all animatronic. So we've got a hole in the ground, goes down about 6 feet, and we're moving things around. Now, we had just rushed and ate food in lightning speed, okay? So it was like, hurry up and eat, then go move all those things around for Mr. Spielberg, And the last time I seen Spielberg, he got in a helicopter and took off for lunch. That was what I saw, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So anyway, we're in there moving things around, and we're in the Spruce Goose Dome, which is this big giant dome built for the Spruce Goose, which was a plane built by, Howard Hughes?
Yeah, Howard Hughes, yeah.
And wood.
Yeah.
Wood,
And so it's this desolate, empty place because everybody rushes out of there to go eat lunch and have a good time, and now we're in there by ourselves basically working. And I'm, Seb's in the hole, and I'm handing cables down and controllers down for the puppets and doing all this stuff. And I'm kind of bent over, and I've been just ate a little too much, basically, rushing around. Anyway, as it might happen, sometimes you get that feeling that you're going to let one loose, basically. And I did, but it just happened to be at that cosmic moment where some guy basically leaned his thigh up between my butt cheeks there, okay, when it happened. Okay, and almost pushed me into the hole.
Oh, geez.
Now, which was kind of dangerous. So I turn around like, what the and I look and I turn white because it's Spielberg standing behind me. He's got this giant book, right? Now, he took over the movie from Stanley Kubrick.
All right.
So Kubrick had this giant book with all this information. So he's wandering around the set with this giant book all by himself, and he didn't notice that we were there, which technically I saved him from falling in that hole. But at
farted
the time,
on him in the process?
I farted on the poor guy, and I just about died because I turned around and I turned white, and Seb looks up at me and goes, what's the matter? Now, Seb was French and Irish, so he talked like he had marbles in his mouth. He goes, what's the matter? I go, he goes, what's the matter? And I point over at Spielberg. I'm like, look. Because now Spielberg goes, oh, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, God, I'm not getting fired. Because I thought I was getting fired instantly, I mean,
it was farting with the director.
It was like I threw a softball at his leg, and made some noise at the same time. So it was like I knew I felt it.
Right.
It was a moment we shared. And I was like, oh, God, I'm dying. I'm going to get fired. And Seb caught my reaction and just was like, what's the matter with you, And I looked down and I go, I'm pointing over at Spielberg. He goes, I just farted on Spielberg. He goes, what? I go, I'm pointing to my ass. I'm pointing at his face. And I just farted on Spielberg, man. And he goes, I can't say it online. Because you're my effing hero, mate. Right. And I was just like, and I was like, I had to take a break. I was like shaking and pale as anything. I just about was sick. But yeah, it was, that was my last good Spielberg story there.
Good
I think.
time.
Was it your last good Spielberg production?
No, technically no. I would have thought, who's that guy over there? I want him off the set right away. That did not happen, which I was happy about.
Okay.
But I was panic stricken at the time. I'm like, my career is over. I'm going to die.
Right.
I just bodily function on Spielberg. I mean, there's maybe a handful of people in the world that could say that they did that to the guy.
Okay.
Like, what is Gassy McGasserson doing on the set again? Get him out of here.
I mean, I did later on. I had like visions of like writing a book about it and like going on TV shows. Like, yeah, like the guy that fired on Spielberg, like waving my hand at Oprah, but it didn't happen. But
the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah, but you notice I left the state, right?
Right.
Okay, but it was. I kept a low key after that. Trust me.
Okay.
The worst I think I had after that is like I got yelled at for having black fingernails or something like that by my boss. Just going, I don't like that. I'm like, really? Which I thought was about as bad as it got after that movie.
Black fingernails?
Yeah, I always painted my fingernails black back in the day, and it was like he got weirded out by it because I'm literally holding Haley Joel Osment's head to Spielberg's face, going like, now how do you want me to roll it? Like, do you want this to land like I'm having an in-depth conversation in Steven's face with this severed head of Haley Joel Osment, and my fingernails are right in his face. So my boss Stan Winston, who I love to death, that was my hero,
Yeah.
He's got a cigar in his mouth. He's like, "What's up with those fingernails?" I'm like, what do you mean, Stan? He's like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Now he never said a word for months, but of course, when you got your hands 4 inches from Spielberg's face, like, what do you like it like this? He got kind of like, but it was good movie. Well, I didn't really like the movie much, but it was okay. It was an awesome production to be on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. No. It's good stuff. All right, well, give us one more. Give us your second best. Clearly, that's your best story, but give us your second best.
I honestly can't think of anything offhand. I mean, I've had. Here's the thing. I've dealt with many movie stars. I mean, I've had. I've shown. We were doing Men in Black 2, and we'd take some of the puppets and show like Mr. Smith's kids, like how they worked and stuff like that. So we do things like that. I remember being at one of the studios, and Michael Jackson walked in with a whole group of people and stuff, and it was like, okay, don't stare at his nose. It was like, because he didn't have one.
Right.
And it was like, there's like a piece of tape over it. Like, it was some weird thing. Like, no lie. It was kind of sad, but you're like, don't look at, it's like when you see a girl with big boobs, you try to look at their head. So you don't stare at their chest because they've got it exposed to you. But, it was like, don't look at his face. Don't hi. And it's like, hey, how you doing? You're like, oh God. Yeah, exactly.
Moly.
I was cringing, but we ended up showing like the kids that he brought with us, all these animatronic gorilla heads and stuff, and it was fun. But yeah, I mean, I've had like, my kids show up at, rap parties and stuff, and like I've got like Jennifer Love Hewitt holding my kids, or like Columbo. That was one of my favorite things. We were somewhere and Peter Falk was, when he was alive, he's one of my heroes. I love Columbo. So I got him holding one of my kids, It's just weird stuff that happens back in those days. But
yeah,
I mean, it still happens. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's just, I try not to, spray anybody with any kind of bodily fluids or anything like that. So,
Marking your territory.
I've learned some. I'm older now.
Yeah.
I can control these things for another few years, and then I'll go the other way.
Right, exactly. It's going to go downhill fast.
Yeah.
Here comes the geriatric fart machine. Here he comes again, working on the animatronics.
I don't know if this is going to help me or not at this point. These stories get a little scary, but, hey, they're true. What can I say?
Right. Man, he moves them puppets around pretty good. We'll live with the gas.
Yeah.
Right.
I wear long shirts in the back now. So
that's good.
He's got charcoal filters for his underpants.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you would please tell folks again how they can find you like on the net, how they can find your school and all that good stuff.
I sure will. You could Google me, Valek Sykes, or you can check out our TechWorks Studios website, which is techworksstudios.com. Or if you're interested in learning what we do, you could always go to learneffects.biz, and that is our school website.
Cool. And that class starts when?
We're doing a class. We're starting one on the May 28th.
All right, so that's coming up real quick.
Yes, it is. It's a 4-week class, so it's a little crazy, but we do have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, Valek, thank you so much for spending the time with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me share my Strange stories with you.
No, that's good stuff. All right, guys, that closes out another supplemental episode of the Week in Geek radio show.
As always, we want to strongly urge you to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. Check out our website at twigradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Twig Radio and the Instagrams, The Week in Geek. Brian, how can people listen to this lovely show and the podcast?
Well, of course.
And the supplementals.
The supplementals, they're listening to it now on one of the many
You're soaking in it.
Podcast platforms that we're on, and you can always catch us every Sunday at 7 p.m. on the dialer via the iHeartRadio app. So, guys, thanks very much.
Till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.
GFL.